Let's talk about our first guest, is Shakeel Afsar. He's a community activist based in the West Midlands, particularly in Birmingham. He's been on the streets these past few weeks helping feed and provide for the vulnerable people. Mr. Afsar, very warm welcome to the programme, sir.
Thank you very much, Mohammed Shafiq. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, so firstly, let's talk about Birmingham. How is Birmingham coping?
Well, Birmingham is in the current calamity that we're facing, and as you've all seen, all the statistics, that our communities are one of the communities that's really facing the big brunt of all this. I have to say, as a community, we have really got together. I've seen astonishing things taking place. Namely, I could just name one. A lot of our masjid institutions have really got together and have set up infrastructure of handling our deceased in a way where it doesn't infringe on our religious sort of following that we have of burying people immediately. Alhamdulillah, Gambor Sharif Masjid, Green Lane Masjid are all working together, including Central Masjid and many more.
Sorry, Shakeel, can you imagine before this crisis that the mosque you talk about, the Green Lane Mosque, is a Salafi mosque? You've got Gambor Sharif Mosque, which is the sort of mosque I'm possibly attached to, is a Sufi sort of Sunni mosque. But all of them coming together and working tandemly together is quite inspiring.
It's absolutely very inspiring, and it's very, very inspirational looking towards going forward. That knowing that at a time when we need to come together, we can come together, and I think this is the best time now, even moving forward, of us sorting a lot of other issues that are in our community that we haven't really got around to. But I think, Shafiq, a lot of people have realized that life is very short. Life is very, very short, and our communities have really stepped up to the mark up and down the UK. I can say I'm proud of all communities, but moreover my own, with our taxi drivers, our takeaway, our shopkeepers who have kept infrastructures open, our bus drivers, who have a relative of mine was actually a number 8 bus driver in Birmingham who lost his life. And, you know, a lot of the PPE thing that we talk about, he was one of the people who wasn't given PPE equipment, but he still carried on to serve his community. And I have to say, Birmingham has really stood up to serve the communities for their needs. And I can just say it's absolutely inspiring.
Okay. But the reality was somewhat different 6-7 weeks ago. Your NHS was under pressure. Mosques and community centres were still deciding to have their prayer sessions. There was a lot of confusion around ghusl and burial and the pressure on the coroner. What changed in that 6 weeks to get to the point where we are now, where you seem very confident that Birmingham has performed well?
Yeah, I think, Mohammed, the main thing is our representation. Our representation in certain areas by certain members of parliament has been second to none. They've actually guided the community through the government guidance. They've actually put the community into the right place at the right time. But the reason why we had a sort of backlog in getting to that point was, unfortunately, we have some members of parliament who have been actually misrepresenting the communities without calling any names. They've actually been misrepresenting the community, which in turn has left the community confused, and in turn has caused us to have a sort of backlog.
That MP that you refer to is quite publicly spoken. His name is Tahir Ali. He's the MP for Birmingham Hall Green. He's apologised for that as well, and he's made a mistake. It was just the once.
I think, yeah, absolutely, and everyone makes mistakes, and we accept his apology wholeheartedly. But after that, unfortunately, the consensus in the constituencies, our MPs nowhere to be seen. Like, we have MP Liam Byrne, and I'm not in Liam Byrne constituency, but I can say I am very proud of that gentleman, because he is actually on the ground tackling all those issues with overseas British people who are overseas, who are stranded, trying to get back. Where on my constituency, unfortunately, we have actually had to be on the ground a bit more. And personally, I've had to come out to the street more, because our community was very confused up until about 2-3 weeks ago. And then until we had some clarity and better direction, and people kind of took it into their own hands.
Yeah, and just in terms of Tahir Ali, the MP there, I'm sure we'll try to get him on a future show to put his side of the story. But let's just quickly move on. How are you supporting the community?
So we are trying to do everything and anything we can. So from providing food parcels to vulnerable people. Birmingham has a lot of ethnic minorities who live here, and as you know, we have a lot of elderly people who actually still live at home rather than in home care centers. And there are certain people who were able to get to certain places, and even small things. Shafiq, believe it or not, I had a gentleman who lives a couple of doors away from me, and he just wanted to have a chat. He had been inside for 2 weeks, and he was that lonely that he just generally wanted. And I stood at the back of my garden, raising my voice, trying to have a chat with him. And after, he actually sent me a text message saying, I feel so much more better. So it's even as things as small as that, just talking to your neighbor, making sure they're all right, their physical, emotional well-being, because staying indoors, it can drive the best of us crazy. So we have to kind of pool together, and even on a bigger scale, the masjids have coordinated. We've had 700 volunteers volunteer for Green Lane Masjid for their PPE equipment that they're working with one of the Birmingham-based companies to provide QE Hospital. So it's been the way when my grandfather came over to England to build the infrastructure after World War I, how it was all we got together, we can actually see that happening in our communities now.
Because that's one of the criticisms, if you like, of Birmingham. I've got loads of family there, and whenever there's a death, sometimes can take up to a week for that body to be released. There a lot of division, because such a big city, is one of the largest cities in Europe, a lot of division amongst the different mosques and the different councillors. There is, in that sense, if you talk about Bradford or Rochdale or some other towns where there's that unity, that's lacking in Birmingham. But what you described, that unity seems to have come quite naturally.
Absolutely, and I can speak from experience with assisting a few people with actually having the deceased released from the relevant offices. And it's been quite swift, again, because we have all kind of got together. People who wouldn't normally work with other people have kind of put their differences aside, and we're all kind of pitching in. And I think Birmingham has actually been quite instrumental in the Feed the NHS campaign. And a lot of our Birmingham-based restaurants have actually been at the forefront, not only providing food. I've met people in local supermarkets whilst doing my shop, and I've said, like, I've seen, are you doing your family shop? And they're actually doing shopping for nurses and doctors, and they've got lists where they're walking around getting specific items for these the key workers to try to assist them the best they can. So Birmingham has, I would have to say, apart from these differences and our few lack of representation, has really been the city that has been at the forefront of trying to minimize any sort of damages that we can to our community.
Now, Andrew Street is the mayor there in the West Midlands, isn't he? How would you describe his contribution and his work in your city and a wider region?
Well, to be honest, I would never want to criticize somebody without allowing them a chance to thingy. But I have to say this: our certain member of parliament who are in charge of small constituencies are actually doing more than certain people who run the whole infrastructure of Birmingham. So, like I said, I personally am not part of Labour Party, neither am I part of Conservative or Lib Dems, but the MP for Labour, Liam Byrne, has literally, I have seen that man literally every day on the street when he doesn't need to be. He could easily be sat at home.
He's a candidate in the West Midlands mayoral election, which should have happened this year. So he's not just doing it out of the goodness of his heart, he's desperate to win.
Yeah, I think...
Can we welcome a caller?
Of course.
Aidan is on line one. Let's welcome Aidan. Good evening, Aidan.
Good evening.
What would you like to say, sir?
I just want to ask, say to Shakeel, he's doing a great job. Excellent way of supporting the community. Very proud of him. We are from Birmingham ourselves.
I can tell.
My question to him is, if he was to ever become leader, what would he do differently to what everyone else is currently doing?
Did you hear that, Shakeel?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the answer to that question is, we all can have our differences. But what we must maintain is we can agree to disagree, but we must respect one another, and that is the only way we can get forward. We must not shut anybody's argument down, how irrational or how strange it might sound. We must allow people to coincide and exist we can agree to disagree, but that doesn't mean we don't love each other on the basis of humanity. And I think I would put a more humanity-based approach where, regardless of caste, color, creed, regardless of wealth, regardless of political position, every person from the smallest to the largest should have the same voice, and that's what I believe.
Okay, 01924231083 is our number. Thank you so much, Aidan there from Birmingham.
No problem, you're welcome. Thank you.
I think your accent gives it away. We recognise the Brummie accent, don't we? So 01924231083 is our number. If you want to contact us on social media, we're at BritshMuslimTv. Let's take another call. Let's see who's on the line. Assalamu alaikum, you're live on British Muslim TV. I'm good, thank you. Sorry, that line's not very good. Stay on the line. We'll see if we can sort your line out, and then we'll come back to you. But in the meanwhile, Shakeel, you talk about compassion and you talk about reaching out beyond your own comfort zone. I've been quite inspired by the way churches and mosques and people have been working in tandem, the Sikhs as well, sorry, and the temples, and everybody trying to work together in a cohesive way. It's quite inspiring to see.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And I think Birmingham, with the amount of Sikh community we have, the Hindu community we have, and all different walks of life, like I said to you, Shafiq,
yeah, let's
it's like a big pool of people who have come together for a common goal.
Yeah, Sajid is on line 1. Let's go to line 1. Sajid, assalamu alaikum. Sajid, are you there? Hello, Sajid. Okay. Apologies there, Shakeel, but Sajid seems to have dropped off. So you were saying, sorry.
So yeah, it's literally like I said to you, we've had major communities and major leaders of communities who have actually stepped forward. And I think that's what the changing point is. And we've had some people who in the past would probably have been considered not really liked by everyone, but the main thing is they've been accepted. Everybody and anybody has been accepted. For anyone who wants to give a contribution, as long as it's positive, it's being accepted by everybody, regardless whether you're Muslim, Christian, Sikh, Hindu, Buddhist. It's all humanity right now.
Okay, so let's take that call. Let's see if the person is back. Okay, sorry, we're joys of live TV. You get callers. If you are trying to get in through, please stay on the line. And when you hear my voice, that means you're live. Assalamu alaikum, you're live on British Muslim TV. What's your name and where are you calling from, sir?
Hello, assalamu alaikum. My name's Sajid. I'm calling from Birmingham. You okay?
I'm good, Sajid. What would you like to say, or what's your question, sir?
I just want to. Am I able to get through to the live studio? Is that
you're live on air as we speak, sir. You're talking to Mohammed Shafiq. Yeah. You're talking
I got cut off twice. I probably got put through something. No, I just want to say. I want to take my hat off to this brother Shakeel. I mean, I've been following his work. I've been following what's going on around Birmingham, and I know he's doing a lot for our community. There was a point that he raised earlier on about a certain MP. I'm not going to mention his name. I know there's like a lot of issues going on around with what his representation's like. There was a point raised about one thing when he went on to, attended these funerals, did whatnot. But there was another point that wasn't picked up on here. There was a major issue in our constituency about price increases for shops, overinflating. This MP was at one of those shops. He was seen.
Okay. I'm just slightly a bit concerned, Sergeant, because Tahir Ali's not here to defend himself, and you're describing something, and I appreciate your call, but I'm just conscious he's not here to defend himself, and he actually deserves the right to be, questioned.
The reason I'm calling is I'm hoping when you do get him onto the show, and there is a point made about this as to why such a despicable action was taken by that.
Well, what to do is if you follow me on Twitter or Facebook, Shafiq UK, send me your details and we'll stay in touch, and you can share more about that. But as I said, we'll try to get Tahir Ali on the program in a future program, so we can put those questions. Let's go to line 2 and see who's there. Assalamu alaikum, you're live on British Muslim TV. Hello, sir. Who's there?
Hello, good evening.
Yes, what would you like to say? Who's that? What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Shafiq. I'm calling from Mali, brother. I'd like to talk about the coronavirus. And we all Muslim all over the world, all Muslim lockdown in their own house, Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, Great Britain, all over the world. One thing I tell you, the state forward. No, don't fasting, don't pray salah, read Quran Majid on your mother language.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, sir. And thank you. I'm just going to cut you off. Thank you, sir. And I apologise. I'm cutting you off. One, because what you said was factually incorrect. We have to pray. We have to fast, and that's been told by the Quran. We have to pray our salah and pay our zakat and do our sawm. So that's wrong. But the second point, we've reached the first end of the program. Shakeel, it's been a pleasure having you on. Now, I know we're trying to set up a discussion with you and other people on the RSE thing. Lots of people call you a bigot. You think your voice has been marginalised. There's lots of debate going on. I really want to put it together here on British Muslim TV, and you've agreed to do it, haven't you, sir?
Absolutely. Like I said, I'm happy to sit down and answer any question live on TV that you have for me, Shafiq.
Oh, well, thank you so much, and thank you for being my guest. Keep up your good work in the community.
Thank you for having me.
And I look forward to seeing you, inshallah, very, very soon. There was Shakeel, Afsar, a community activist from Birmingham. You could tell from his accent, he's from Birmingham. Thank you so much, my brother. And as I said, there's been a lot of discussions, if you like, about people who say he shouldn't have been on the programme. But look, my strategy is to put people under the microscope, under the spotlight, and ask those difficult questions. And to be fair to him, he has clearly said he's up for that discussion. So when this coronavirus crisis is over, we'll get him here into our studio, and we'll get some of his opponents in the studio as well, and let's have a good, honest, respectful debate. So we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll speak to our next guest. We'll give you more